here today with Teresa. Teresa, tell me, what's your relationship with the water?
Hey Shannon, thanks for having me. Um, ah, my relationship, I think, with the water is probably going to be explained best by my swim yesterday. I live on Whidbey Island on the south end, and it's about just north of Seattle. And I have an amazing place where I swim. That's about a mile away as the crow flies. And so I can just pop down there. And yesterday I went down about 7:30 and and I basically had the place to myself. It's one of those waterfront property areas where everyone has, cabins. I'm using the air quotes. They just use them, in the summer, so there's nobody there. And it was a sunny morning and it was quiet. And I got down to the beach and the place is deserted and it's just me and the water is still. There's no wind, and we're in the highest and lowest tides of the year, so there's good current. And I'm by myself, so I'm swimming shallow along the shore, and I just get in, and it's it's sacred space. Um, get in. It's cold. I would guess the temp is probably 52. I don't wear a watch that tells my time and all of the temperature things. I swim with friends that do that. Someone's like, "Hey, what's the temp?" But I just have these times when I can get in and swim and be with everything that's there. Um, and I just swim against the current for as long as I can stay in. I do a flip turn because I like to think I'm in the biggest pool in the world, and then I swim back with the current. And yeah, I'm just doing it for joy. And I've always had a connection with Puget Sound. I was born in Seattle. I'm a fourth generation Pacific Northwesterner, and that's a little unusual these days. But growing up, my parents were teachers, so we didn't have a lot of money, but we had summers together, and my parents loved the water, and so we was spend the summers camping on Admiralty Inlet at Fort Flagler or Fort Worden or on Hood's Canal. And my dad always had this crappy, like used kind of powerboat situation that would break down all the time. But my sister and I, we would spend the entire day just in the water, literally just, my dad would be in the middle of Lake Washington. He'd cut the boat motor and we would just get out and we would just play just for the longest period of time, just trying to stand up on an inner tube, or something kind of dumb, when you're like 3 hours later and you're having fun and you're being in the water all the time. Um, so I've always been lucky in that to always be exposed and in it. Ever since I was little, it's never been enough to be in a boat or by it. I've always felt like I've been called into it. Um, there was a scary instance when my mom put me in a beauty pageant when I was 4. Uh, and I almost drowned in the swimsuit competition.
Oh man.
I know, right? I mean, there was no chance. I wasn't a beauty queen by any means, but I teased my mom about that a lot. Like, Mom, almost drowned in the swimsuit competition. Um, but, but right? I know. I think she was overworking the like JP Patches connection to try to get me a better spot in the pageant. I don't know. But yeah, lifeguard scooped me up and I was okay. And I didn't have any fear after that, which is amazing. Got right back in. We did have a little community pool by where we lived, like a little seasonal pool, like 2 blocks away. And my sister and I spent, I was age 6 to age 12 on the swim team. I had so many pink ribbons, which was fourth place. I was not competitive. My competitive edge is like a butter knife, I would say. Um, not not super driven, but we had a good time and yeah. So I've always been in the water, been called into it, get into it as often as I can. Bellingham, and then we moved to Whidbey about 26 years ago, and I got involved with just kind of doing some sprint triathlons, as I think I've heard a lot of the people on this podcast kind of find open water swimming through that. Yeah, the bike and the run sucked, but I really liked the swim and learned about how people actually do this. There's open water swim races. There's all these, this new community that I wasn't aware of kind of opened up to me. And when I moved to Whidbey, there was a real, I would say with love, I would say with love, a real hardcore kind of triathlon group of people here that did really, and I wasn't into swimming for time or anything like that, but I would be able to join them and, go to the beaches with them, and they would have figured out, tides, currents, all the things, and I could kind of join that way. And met some of my closest, dearest friends, figuring that out. And we have a big group here on Whidbey, and we swim every Saturday down at Robinson Beach. It's an open invite to anybody, any distance, any speed. We have dippers and bobbers and 4 milers and all the stuff. But it's a great community, and started getting involved with the Whidbey Adventure Swim when we started in 2011. Started on the committee the next year, and I've been involved with the swim. Been race director for the last 7 or 8 years for that race, and we're coming up. We're 3 weeks. Is it 3 weeks? Oh God, I'm not even going to think about it. Right? I'm like, oh, you probably should have interviewed me after the race, because right now I'm
Yeah.
at that time of the year where it's like, crap, and everything's falling apart, which it always does every year. That's just how it goes. And I'm thinking, what am I doing? Why am I putting this on? Why are we putting this on again? But it's going to be great. It's always
Yeah.
okay. But
It's always okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's always okay.
Right? Yeah. We'll come back to the adventure swim. Let's get into your story a little bit. So you're growing up on the water and completely comfortable with everything that you're in the water with. The first thing pops in my head is like, I want to hear like the coolest experience that you've had when you're just going to the water by yourself and seeing and just being with what you see in the water. Like, is there any epic experience that you had with something that kind of took your breath away?
It's so, I love that question, because it's, even though I go to the same place, it's always new. It is always different. Yesterday, it was, there's sand dollars on this beach. And if you've ever seen a live sand dollar, they're black and they have all these little tiny, like tiny legs underneath, and they move. I mean, you have to have a lot of time on your hands to watch them move, but they do move. And so with that tide that was going out quite quickly, they were digging, like they turn sideways and then they dig down into the sand.
Wow.
Because when the tide, yeah, when the water's gone, like they gotta like, okay, we gotta get down there, everybody move, move, move. But I take my first couple strokes out yesterday and looking south, which I can see a little bit of Rainier and the Seattle skyline, and then in the water, just thousands of sand dollars, and they're just black, and it just goes forever. And I think, I'm the richest person in the world. Like, look at all this company, look at all these little things, and they're amazing. And hey, you, and all the things. I think down there, one time I did have, I've had a couple of harbor seals come. They're a little more brave when it's just me. And I think maybe it was a couple of years ago, I had one. Usually I think they like to scare you. They're like, boo, they come up suddenly, they're right next to you, and you're like, oh shit, okay. And then I love swimming with them. I don't have any fear there, but that startle is always like, oh my God. But this one he was following me, and this sounds kind of woo woo. And I'm not a woo woo. I always say I'm just woo, like two
I
woos,
like
just
that.
too me. But yeah, right. I'm just woo, but I can buy into it. And there's energy. The energy in the water changes. Have you felt that? Like when there's something around you, or had that, Shannon? Like where you feel like, okay, something's different. What's happened?
I feel like I've heard people say that, but I don't think I've had that experience personally, which I need to tap a little more into the woo. I think I'm in the woo and I haven't got the ooh yet. So but I believe it. I believe it because I keep hearing those stories. And I think that, people talk about it like if a shark, like surfers will be like, it felt sharky today, right? I've heard people say that. And anyway,
Oh,
you heard that before?
that's interesting. No, that's cool that it feels sharky. That's one thing great about Pacific Northwest. We have sharks, but they, you never see them. Anyways, but so I'm swimming, and the energy just kind of changed, and I turned around and here, come on along, glad to have you. And I don't really understand the whole, like, where they are in the season, if there was a territorial thing or something, but he was behind me, and he hit my feet, which I guess is pretty common. And I stopped. So when I turn around and I look, he's still there. And I go, I didn't like that. Pizza. Let's not do that again. And I do. And people, seriously, I think people on that beach probably I'm just not okay, probably. I'm talking, I say it out loud. And he swam right next to me the whole time. And I'm like, okay, so we get this. And I was getting out, and I'm in a wetsuit when I swim because temps are low 50s usually, sometimes in the 40s in the winter. And so I just kind of inked around with them, and there's nothing that makes you feel more clumsy in the water than like a sea lion or a seal going around and doing their stuff. And I'm like, look, I can do a little twist just like you. And I can see the pity in his eyes, like, yeah, great, good job. But that was great. It's amazing. And then I just wonder what's in their heads. Like I stand up and I take my wetsuit off in the water because it's always easier in the water, as you probably know.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I was through their heads. It's like suddenly I have these legs and I'm walking out, and anyways, I love those moments, and that was a good one. That was a good one.
How often do you find yourself out there frolicking with the seals?
Oh, that sounds so romantic. It doesn't happen very often. We do have porpoise out
Mm.
farther out, common porpoise. They're super shy. And you never get close to them. And I never usually swim out that far where they're at, but it's kind of fun to see them roll. And if it's
Hmm.
real quiet, you can hear them do the with their breath. That's amazing. I get out there. In winter, I'm usually in the water about twice a week. And then come summer, a lot of people, we put together different swims around the island, and there's different beaches and things like that. So I'm lucky to be in the water probably 4 or 5 times a week in the summer.
Wow.
So it's good times. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
What frequency do you find yourself swimming with seals? Was it like a weekly
Um,
or monthly or who knows?
they do like, so I'm on the west side of the island, and Langley, where the swim race is on the east side of the island, and that's where the marina is. And the seals, there's a really good harbor seal race. So there's more of a chance if I'm swimming on the east side. Time of year right now, they're out and active, and we'll see them. They don't always get close like that encounter that I would about, but a lot of times they'll just, you'll breathe and, oh, yep, there's a little head. They kind of check them out. We do. I always laugh at the race. There's always one seal that really likes the winner, and so if we have some person that's coming in, to finish, and they're kind of usually out on their own, and here's this little head that's just following them. We just kind of like, oh yeah, there's finishing seal. Good job. And it's kind of, so it's fun. So we do have them on the island. They're pretty prevalent. We do have elephant seals that come in the fall, and those guys, that's a lot. I don't want to see them. We had
Too
one at
much.
Robinson Beach this fall. Yeah, they're huge. It's a lot, but yet like but it's beautiful, right? And I have a friend that says you got to remember we're eco terrorists in their water. Like this is not where we belong. This is not our place. So, be respectful, um, all that. But it's kind of an amusing, amazing thing to see things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so cool. Where have you always been comfortable swimming by yourself?
Hmm. If I'm shallow, yeah,
Mm.
I don't deep. I mean, I think that's part of the respect for the water and making smart choices. There might be something that, you want to do, a little bit farther or a little bit, farther out. And I'm always like, no, you know what? I need to be smart, and do those things because it's unpredictable. My best swims are with my friends, though. Like I said, we have a big group here. We meet every Saturday. Everyone's welcome. Uh, yeah, I love my girls. My daughters are in their 20s now. They'll come out and swim with me sometimes,
Wow.
and that's my greatest joy is to have them. During COVID, we did, when you're home with your parents, it kind of sucks. But there's nothing else going on. And we were still swimming outside. And, I drug my oldest along. I'm like, come on, let's. And she's like, I don't want to do this. And she's like, I froze my ass off, mom, and I want to go back tomorrow. So that's one of my greatest joys is having my girls out there with me. And we swam Camino across together and done some really cool swims. So it's fun.
Very cool. Take me into that space for a little bit. So, did your kids, you talked a little bit about yourself and you did some swim team. Did your kids do swim?
They did. We have a little local swim team here. Unfortunately, we don't have a public pool. yet. It's very exciting. We're just building our first public pool on the south end of Whidbey.
Wow.
Should be done in a year. Yeah, in fact, all the race proceeds have always gone to building a public pool on the south end of Whidbey. So it's we've been fighting for it for a long time. I'm on the foundation board, and we got a bond passed and a levy, and it's going to be open next year. But when my girls were growing up, we didn't have that option, so it was just a small swim team during the summer. There's also a really generous small little private athletic club that has the only indoor pool here on the south end, and they would have swim teams. So yeah, so I would help coach. Some of that. Yeah, so both my girls did swim team in elementary school. My youngest swam through high school, and she made it to state. She was a great swimmer. Um, she since we didn't have a public pool here and no swim team for the high school, she would go across 6 days a week to swim with
Wow.
Kamiak High School. That coach over there invited anybody from Whidbey that wanted to swim for South Whidbey to come and train with them. Um, and so she did that, and it was amazing. It was amazing that he was that generous, and she loved it. It was really a good thing.
What made me think of it with your girls was just that then they're home. How old were they when the pandemic set in? Like 6 years ago.
Yeah, my oldest had just turned 21. And
Okay.
that sucks. She's in college and you have to, you want to go out with your buddies drinking and you got to be home with your parents watching, the Tiger King or whatever it was. And so different, right? Different scene. And my youngest I think she just finished her freshman year.
Oh wow.
Um, so yeah, that was something.
So you drug them out to the water with you because you knew it was gonna help with
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
with
kids being at
our
home.
minds, right? Like because we were all going crazy then. We needed the water, and you're surrounded by water. Did you have like did you know like from research about like just like for mental health like the need to kind of get out there or was it just you just were like mom's intuition like we got to go.
Right? Yeah, I did. That's one of the things that fascinated, particularly with cold water immersion. All the studies, it seemed like a lot of them were coming out of the UK that I had read about that amazing study, amazing results about the endorphins and all this cool stuff that happens in your brain and with your body when you're in cold water, even if it's just for a couple of minutes. And it caught on, like it was a craze. I don't know if you probably realize this too. In 2020, I remember seeing someone sent me an article that was actually in Vogue magazine, and it was one of their writers, like their beauty writers or something, that had written about going somewhere in New York and finding a place and getting in the cold water, and it was really well done. And the picture was so hilarious that accompanied the articles because it was like icebergs and like these very thin, like all in black, very dramatic sort of photo. And I thought, holy crap! Like open water swimming's finding this moment with cold water and embracing and all of that. And it was yeah, so that's always fascinated me, that change, the mental piece, the mental support. And my oldest daughter even says that. She's like, yeah, she's like, I was depressed. It was really a hard time. And yeah, she came out and she's like, I froze my ass off, but I came back and it was amazing. And yeah, she went back to school, a little brag moment with mom here. And she went back, she's a track runner. She had 100 and 200 sprinter. And the season after she did the open water swimming, she went back and broke university records, conference records, and actually went to nationals for NCAA Division III and won the 100 and the 200
Wow.
in 2021. So yeah, I know, little brag
There's the
moment.
cold
And
water obviously.
yeah, well, she did a podcast. And they said, so what were you doing for training, during 2020? And she's like, well, actually, I was cold water swimming with my mom. And so that was fun.
Yeah. Wow. Have you always swam like year round?
No, I always, as kids, I think I always look back and I think about, when even we would camp a lot of times in the winter too, and mom would say, don't get wet, don't get your shoes wet, don't get whatever. And kids just don't care. it's like 38 degrees out and you're like, wow, you're splashing around and stuff because you don't care about the cold. And I think we become adults and we suddenly fear being cold. I love being cold. Like that's my thing, which is weird. And I have a good tolerance for it now, of course, but there's just something about that. There's something about that. And so yeah, purposefully getting in the water in winter, swimming throughout the year has just been since I've been here on Whidbey and with these swim friends um, that are willing to go out there with me in February and January and November. Ugh, and we get down to about 47
Wow.
is our holding temp through the winter months. And yeah, now it's starting to rise and it's great.
That's nice. Yeah. Do you shed any layers?
I do. I do. I do. It's funny. I do. I will go just skins in the winter just for, short amount of time, I should say. Because it's amazing, like getting out. Yeah. With, I've got my knitted cap like the Brits do, and I'm out there with, just hanging out for 10 minutes or whatever. Um, but yeah, in the summer, I love without my wetsuit because you just feel the water differently, right?
For sure. Yeah. You said you have a tolerance for cold. Do you find that you have an intolerance for warm water or warmer,
Oh
like for
yeah.
swimming? Yeah, really?
I've done swim to Alligator Lighthouse
Mm,
in Ilamarada twice for some crazy reason. It's so well run. I love going. I don't do a lot of swim races because, like I said, I'm not super competitive, but I'm always interested in finding how other races are run. How they're doing it. What's your method? Oh, those are really cool buoys. How are you anchoring those? Like, how are you handling this? And that race was great. It was run really well. It's a out and back, and it's 8 miles total. And so, and you're in a kayak, and I did it as a team of three the first time, and I think the water temp was like 83.
mm.
Oh, it was so much. And then we went back the next year because I was like, oh boy, we were kind of a mess. Every time you do a race the first time, it's like a learning curve. And then, so the second year, just two of us went back, and it was something. It was a hard year. You have warmer water, and you have all kinds of different critters and creatures. And they have a lot of. Both years we had moon jellies,
Oh,
and they call them pink meanies, and they're not super bad, but they're like the size of dinner plates. And at first you come into them and you're kind of like trying to dodge them, and I can go under this one or whatever. And then suddenly there's just this wall and there's no way but through. And I don't know, I think I have leathery skin. You adapt, and that's just how it goes. I mean, you probably swam through a lot of jellyfish on your swims, have you?
no, no. I had one hit me in when I did the swim in the Caribbean along the length of the island of Dominica. I had one. I mean, I had a lot of like little zappy things. I took a group back this year, and they all were getting the same. Like the south part of the island, everyone was getting zipped and zapped or a little tendril around the wrist. But no, I've not done a lot of swims that hit a lot of jellyfish. I've definitely heard a lot of stories about a lot of people swimming through this max of jellyfish, but no, personal experience is relatively limited. But yeah, so Alligator Lighthouse. So when you went back, you were doing it as a relay, so the 8 miles as a relay,
Yeah.
and you had to get in and
Yes.
out of a kayak.
Yeah.
It sounds really hard.
It was so much, but it's so much fun, right? I mean, and if they have a big field, I think they had over, I want to say 700 people in the water.
Wow.
Because you got teams of three. Yeah, it's a lot. And how this safety piece and how they have a ton of jet skis and just watching. And that second year there was pretty good wind, and I think two-thirds of the field ended up getting out. And so watching them get people out, people were just like, nope, it's not for me. Um, and that's great. And they were on a barge, and they'd get them back or whatever. And so Chris and I just kind of we kept plugging along, and I do a couple miles and she do a couple miles, and you're just coming back, and you know how it is. It's that grit. Like there's something in every swim, I think, where you think you're not going to finish, and then something in you, if you have it, just says, "Screw it, let's go. Let's see. Let's just try until I can't." Um, and that was one of those swims, and we finished. We got up and finished, and I housed an entire can of Pringles. I'm not proud of that, but I did.
I've done it. I've done it. Bag of
You know how
Doritos.
it
Yep.
is,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, heck yeah. I know. Yeah. So, and it feels good, but I do think, and I'm sure as a coach and what you do, that you see that in people too, that it fascinates me, that grit piece. And I think there's good in that. And I think there's bad in that, but I do think every open water swim, that, have you found that?
I think it's an interesting thing, I guess, to coach, but to be aware, I guess it's to be aware like why you're pushing through is kind of why I try to help people make sure we know why we're pushing through because it is a good skill, but like you said, there's kind of a bad side of it too. But it's an interesting thing to help people find that little wall, the first one, and kind of push through and then realize, oh, I feel great. Like, I'm so glad I didn't stop at that first wall, or I never would have
Yeah.
known how good you could feel on the other side. And then, but then it can come up again. And it's like, I'm coming to this place in my life of balance of things. It's like, at what cost? Right. So it's like, oh, you can keep pushing and pushing, but, at what cost? And if you're not in pain and you kind of feel okay and you've got nutrition coming because you're well supported and okay, maybe there's no, or like, what am I going to feel like tomorrow? I don't know, but we always just have to kind of be, what am I doing this for? I'm just trying to make it, I try to think of it as just like we want to make the educated like push through.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Maybe taking a moment and just weighing the risks, maybe. Is that?
Yeah, well, I think there's the question of like can I stay? Like, do you basically because there's a cost to getting out as well. If you're like, oh, I'm done, I'm
Yeah.
out, get the boat, and then you're waiting for the boat to come, and you're like, I could just have been swimming, right? I've had that happen.
It's like, dang it, what the heck?
I wanted the express ride back. Like, that's not how it goes. You get out in the middle of a swim, there's going to be some hanging around. So it's like, what's the reason for stopping? Is it the boredom, pain, discomfort, run out of nutrition, wind, but I think it's an interesting experiment, like mind experiment. And I think there's a lot of like the parallels too, though. It's like, you're not just going to quit in your life. So sometimes you've got to learn how to push through. So what are you going to tap to get through a really rough time? It becomes a muscle we can flex in all kinds of areas of our life, right?
Yeah, 100%. I love that. I love thinking of that as a muscle. I like that a lot. That's a good image.
Yeah, well, because then it's like you don't have to flex it, but you can, right?
Right, exactly. You know there. Yeah, I think a lot of people just don't know what they're capable of. You know what I mean? I found that for
Yeah.
myself for sure. It's like you end up, it's like getting through the jellyfish, right? Like there's no way but through. I felt that way about my cancer. I was diagnosed in February 2020
Wow.
with breast cancer. And yeah, don't, if you're going to get cancer, choose a good time. Don't choose
Choose a
because
different.
care is a little tricky, but yeah, that was, start of the pandemic. It was just, again, like what you're talking about.
Like right when the pandemic, like right before like in February, you said, right? And then it was like March
Yeah.
that we're like shut down. So you got tell me how this went. This is crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. Everything was shutting down. My mom had breast cancer, so I'd always gone in for my yearly mammograms. Anybody out there listening, please go do that. Self-care, please do that. Um, and yeah, so I was going every year since I was 40. And and, and yeah, you get that scary back of, hey, you want to come in for an ultrasound, and we want to do a needle biopsy. And I mean, they don't tell you they're looking, but you can read their faces. They're like they're not going to call me to come in and talk to the nurse navigator because everything's okay. So you kind of know. So yeah, so I was diagnosed on Valentine's Day, February 14th.
Oh, gee, thanks.
I know, right? Yay! It was a great Friday. Um, and yeah, it was kind of an out of body experience. This gal calls me in and she says, "Well, it's breast cancer." And one of those moments where I just kind of felt like suddenly I was not in my body. I was kind of listening somewhere else. Yeah, do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, totally. And I'm like, okay. And she shows me and she goes, it's DCIS, which is ductal carcinoma in situ, which is what my mom had, which is the most survivable type. So I knew right away, okay, I know this. Um, and so lucky with my diagnosis, with my treatments, everything. After that, they were stopping breast cancer surgeries because of COVID. And I was lucky enough I had to have a full right mammogram, or not mammogram, mastectomy, because they found it and it was big. Like I was
Oh,
like,
geez.
oh, great. So yeah, because usually right now with breast cancers, they just do lumpectomies. But I grew it really well. Apparently, I grow cancer cells great. So yay, overachiever, and as I am, and so I had to go in. Um, had the right mastectomy on April 8th. So, really lucky. Again, just 2 months later, but really hard. I had my
Yeah.
husband drop me off at the car park in the hospital and, I had to walk myself in, had to go through it all
Oh
alone.
my
That was
gosh.
hard. Yeah, but it's like what you're talking about. Like you can't go around it or under it. You got to go through it. And so you just pick yourself up and you keep going. And I remember they had like a sky bridge from the garage into the hospital. And my husband was, watching me go. And I'm like, I'm not gonna cry. So I I just grabbed my both my tits with my hands and like did a little like shake, like a little like, vaudeville number, and then, went in through the doors.
Oh,
And
man.
um and that's one thing I found with myself is my sense of humor really helped me through a lot of that, because it control. And I knew it was a false sense of control, but it made me feel like I can make a joke. I can, laugh about this, and it makes it a little more palatable. So, yeah, so mastectomy in April. I didn't want to be out of the water. My support group for my swim friends was incredible. And I think 10 days after the surgery, I met them for a swim. I couldn't swim, but I had my water shoes on and my shorts. And I walked along the shore as they swam. They were so great. They'd be like, "Oh no, I'll walk with you today," and yeah, it was just this incredible support community. And I did choose to do a rebuild because as a swimmer, we're symmetrical, and
Right.
it felt
Yeah.
weird just to have one boob. It just did. So so I was like, if they would have taken them both, I probably wouldn't have done anything. But um, I was really lucky. I was a candidate where they used my own body fat to kind of
Oh, wow.
make me. I know, right? Isn't this cool? It sounds like elves or something are doing it. It's so magical. But
Do you get to pick where the fat comes from? Be like, no, over here.
no, right? No. So I had enough. They take it. It's kind of a. It's this is. It's really. It's an amazing surgery. Not easy. 7.5 hours.
Wow.
But they harvested the belly fat, right underneath, like where my belly button is. Right. They didn't cut through the muscle except to harvest an artery because they have to keep the fat alive.
Yeah.
So then they hooked it up to an artery in my chest, and they kind of put the fat all in there, and yeah, I know, right?
Wow.
And then hopefully there's enough blood flow. I was in the hospital for 3 nights. Again, totally alone.
By yourself. Wow.
Crazy journey. Yep. Crazy journey. Yeah, they always call it a journey, your cancer journey. I'm like, worst trip ever. Like 1 star. Do not take that trip. Like, no, thank you.
I bet those
Uh,
nurses loved you though, because you were just making their day with your jokes.
right? Oh my gosh. Yeah, there was one. I remember there's one point I was pre-surgery, and I'm all hooked up. I had, and I'm like, sorry, I disconnected. They're like, no, no, just take all your stuff with you. So I had to like wheel my little IV bag and all my And, I go and I come back, I was trying to get settled in this weird bed. And across the hall, somebody else waiting for surgery is this guy. And he's kind of looking at me and smiling. And it's like, and so just this, like, again, I go, "You're welcome." Because like the whole back of my gown was open. I couldn't hold, I get Joe and lucky him. So you just do, you get through it. And yeah, so that's my cancer journey. Yeah, don't do it in a global pandemic. Cancer journey.
Okay. Okay. I'll take a little put on that. No cancer.
Right? Don't do it. Don't do it. Bad journey. But again, it's going back to the grit and going back to what you do.
Yeah.
You do it, and
Hmm.
how you do it is your choice. And yeah, so I had some good support, and so afterwards, it was a lot getting my arm movement back, and all of that.
Did it change your stroke, do you feel like?
Yeah, for sure. At first, and she knew I was a swimmer, my PT. And so she's like, "Yeah, you're an athlete." She's like, "Let's do this. We're going to get you back in the water." And,
Mm.
yeah, for sure. It really did. But, you come back. So I'm lucky to be here.
Then you can just, the little blip on the radar. Oh, yeah. And then there was that year I had cancer. It's like so weird to be able to, and there was a pandemic. Whatever.
You do what you do,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I learned a lot. I mean, I have a love of life that I didn't have before, an appreciation for every day, and knowing it can come back. My type does not usually come back, which is great. I'm very lucky that way, but it still makes me, we always say, "Oh, we're all going to die. We're all, all these little things." But when you have cancer diagnosis, like suddenly, like, death is right here and just looking at you, and you're living with it every day for the first time. It's not on the back burner. It's not another room that you can compartmentalize in your brain. It just becomes very real. And it's a gift. It really is a gift.
Not the wake up call that you want, but a wake up call nonetheless, maybe. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. And then there's this ability to push through this muscle that you've built through that cancer journey. That's one
Exactly.
star. Is that, but that, so this about yourself, but I'm curious, like, is that something, you don't want to go through that journey again, but do you want, when was the Alligator Lighthouse one? Was that before or after the cancer journey?
It was after. It
After.
was after.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you had that to tap that muscle. You'd already flexed that muscle. So you're like, oh, I can do this. I can do hard things.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It probably made me do um, things a little less, uh, I don't want to say protected. That doesn't sound the right word, but it made me do things with a little less control. I'm a big control freak. I'm a Virgo. I love having everything, all together, things like that. And it really made me kind of have to go like this
Let go.
and
Yeah.
and let go. Yeah. And so I would swim, and we'd go by a dock, and I'd have to jump on the dock and like jump off and do a cannonball. Like, just, joys of life that maybe we as adults we don't really think about, but I would do that a little bit more, taking those opportunities.
Yeah. I think that's just a good policy anyway, to swim by a dock and do a cannonball. But I guess if you're trying to win the race,
Isn't it?
it's probably harder to convince yourself that you could do that. Interesting.
Right?
So many things to think about.
Yeah. Uh, oh my gosh.
Wow. So when did you start when did you take you because you were involved with the Whidbey Island Adventure Swim, you said, since it started, but it was maybe only recently that you started being the race director. Tell me a little bit about that.
So race started in 2011. This is our 15th anniversary, which is kind of fun. I did it that first year. And then the next year, I was like, this is really cool. I want to be a part of putting this on. So I was on the committee for, I guess, 14 years now. And I've been the race director for, I think, the last 7 or 8. And it's me, and I'm just the race director title, but there's a group of another 10, 11 people that make this happen. They put it on. We love it. We've done it for a long time. And people just come out and have a really good time at our race. We're really safe. We make sure there's a lot of safety but mainly we just have a lot of fun, a good time.
Yeah, and I mean, I love that it's called the Whidbey Island Adventure Swim. So I hope that encourages some cannonball jumping. But
Right.
but tell who had the idea to do it? Like, were you there in like it's like initial stages, like help envisioning it or just help pushing it along? Curious.
There were three folk master swimmers here on the South End that really loved open water, and they're like, "We live in an amazing place. Let's see if we can put on a USMS sanctioned cold water swim race." And so they went through USMS and learned all the stuff that you have to have, the safety plan and the Coast Guard stuff and all the things and buoy placement and all those race things. And so they figured all that out, and then put it on. And that first year, it was just regular course. People, it's a 1.2 or 2.4 mile swim. And so people doing the 2.4 mile had to go around the triangle like 4 times or something, something crazy. And then eventually we made it just into a long rectangle along the shore, which was great. It's a good swim for first time race folks, but it is along the shore, and so that makes people feel a little more secure. They can walk out if they need to. Um, and Yeah, so those three started it and started a committee, and we just kind of rolled from there. First year there was 19 of us swimming, and I think almost all of us were from Whidbey. And as of this year, last couple of years, we've bumped up. We have 125 spots that open up. We open up for registration usually the first week in March, and we've been selling out all the positions for the last, so since probably 2018.
Wow.
And this year we sold out in an hour and 50 minutes. And last year we sold out in 48 minutes. So
Wow.
yeah, we're popular, which is really fun. And
Yeah.
I think maybe 10% of the swimmers are from Whidbey, and everybody else is kind of from Seattle, Tacoma,
Hmm.
Portland. It's a good event.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I've had a few of my swimmers have done it and they just love I mean, like you said, like it's a nice, well, it's cool that they get to swim. I mean, there's the cold water. There's the distances obviously are great for Ironman training, but they don't have to do the bike and the run. So you can show them there's open water swimming without having to
Exactly.
bike and run. But then to be able to practice in salt water and cold water and they go against the current, right? And then they ride it. Do they go, which way does it go?
Yeah.
You go against the current and then ride back or?
That's what we hope for. Yeah, tide. Yeah, it's so crazy
Those
because it's
currents, they don't
people are
actually
like,
just do what we say. Okay, you're right.
right? I know we've got a little bit of eddy that happens, and so I love listening to the swimmers when they get out. Like, oh, the current was so hard. It was going against us. And I know it was going against us, and we were coming back. And so there's this. Everyone has different experiences. But we purposely choose the the race. It's different every year based on tides, based on those currents, because we have to get safety boats out off the boat ramp, and if
Hmm.
tide is low, they can't get out or they can't get back in. They've got to have time to get back in. We have it at Seawall Park in Langley, and that beach is a tide flat, and so the water has to be either coming in or be high enough so it won't drop below 5, because otherwise, people are sinking up to their knees in sand, which isn't. So there's a lot of little tricky. There's a lot of timing to it,
Yeah.
and we definitely take time and current into account.
Wow. Yeah. That's a whole lot. It takes an army, right? To pull these things off, to think of all the things. It's amazing.
The committee is so incredible. We have a guy who's been on the committee, I think, since the race started, who worked for Taylor Shellfish, who's a marine biologist and knows all the tide current, all the stuff. And we have a person who works at NOAA who has his PhD in meteorology and weather. And it's like we've put together this dream team
That's
of
amazing.
people. Yes, it is, that help, and everyone is so great, and we just love sharing where we live, and we have a really good time.
That's so cool. I love it. Man, it's been so fun talking to you. I could talk to you all day, but I have one last question. how do you motivate yourself to go swim by yourself? I'm like, it's such a block for me to go do anything. Like, I can't even go work out in my garage by myself. How do you have the fortitude? Show up for yourself like that. It's
Oh my
amazing.
God. I hear that. Well, how far, like, is it kind of a ways for you to get to water? Like, where's your closest water?
I have an endless pool in my backyard.
Oh, I love that. I love that for you.
Right?
Okay. I get that. Right? No, I get that.
It should be so easy, yeah. But and I've have a million excuses. You know, when the kids were little, I didn't want to wake them up because the current machine's in the garage and their bedrooms are above that. So of course, you know, like the excuses is miles long. And then now it's like I teach lessons for this big block in the afternoon. So I'm like, I'll just swim after that. You know, I get out after
Yeah.
that and make dinner. The
Yeah.
pool's right there though. It's more like I just need to carve out the time. I need the secret. What's the secret sauce? There's a secret sauce, right?
The secret sauce. Yeah. Where's the closest wild swimming you have?
Oh, wild swimming. Yeah, that's a different story. That's 30 minutes. And again, 9, 11-year-old kids to school, lunches, packing. When I went last Friday and it was great, but I had to like pack lunches the night before, make sure the husband, you know, and that's on me too. Like they're old enough. They can do all this themselves. I'm having to let go of like, okay, you'll be fine. I'm just going to go do my thing. I'm still working on that.
No, I get it. Oh my gosh. I packed my when my girls graduated, I think we counted how many lunches I packed because I like doing it. Like they could care less. I'm like, I need to pack you lunch. Like I love it. I love that you said that because I was the same way. And I had packed like 3,000 something lunches like during the period of years. I was like, wow. But it's great. I don't know, but that's so funny. But yeah, you're in the midst of it. I mean, all of the parenting and all the stuff that you've got going on, and I think just be good to yourself. Don't should on yourself. You know, I should do this. I should do that. But yeah, I for me, when my kids were little, that time in the water was the time where I could truly be just me. I didn't have to worry about anybody else, showing up for anybody else, taking care of anybody else. And so that was kind of what kept me sane when it was and there's a lot going on. So yeah, just be good to yourself and awesome when you do it. Don't feel bad when you don't.
Right. And for you, it sounds like it's a sacred space that you hold for yourself.
100%.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. And we should all hold a sacred space for ourselves wherever we can find it. Right.
I love that. Yes. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Thank you so much, Teresa. It's been lovely chatting with you.
Shannon, thanks. This has been so much fun. I wish you all the best. And hopefully we'll cross paths again.